guys, and welcome to the newest video on my channel. I'm still using that intro. This one might be a bit shorter because I just want to tell a story that happened to me. So context. I went to Croatia like 2 weeks ago, I think. Yeah, about that, for 2 weeks. And on a bus. It was a bus ride, a long bus ride. And the bus didn't leave from the big city near me, but it left from the big city that my grandparents live in. So I visited my grandparents for a day. And while I was at my grandparents, I just woke up. I showed my grandpa my YouTube stats on my phone, because if you have a YouTube channel, you can like download YouTube analytics on your phone, so that you can like keep an eye on your YouTube stats. It's like really limited, but it's there. It's nice to have, you know, and it's just a thing you can look at. That implies that YouTube analytics on laptop or PC is not just a thing to look at. But anyway, so I showed it to my grandpa, and I showed him my asexuality in the Bible video. If you haven't watched that, go watch that. I recommend it. It kind of blew up. Very cool. All that. I was explaining it to him, and then the video is about asexuality. He didn't know what that is, so I had to explain it to him. I'm not out to my family at all, so kind of have to put down the grams there. And then I explained it to him, not in a "this is what I am" way, but in a "this is a thing that exists" way. The question why I'm making videos about it, if I'm not it, is not one I would be able to answer, but yeah, so I explained it to him, and he was my grandpa's a very modern person, I guess. Like, he's always kind of like, he's very chill. Like, he's very like, do whatever you want as long as it makes you happy and isn't hurting people. So he's like very accepting of like gay and shit. And trans, as you probably already guessed from the video title, which I'm gonna get to. And then I like explained it to him, and he was like very accepting of it. And then I got to the Bible verse. I can't remember which one it was exactly, but it was the Bible verse. Some men are born as, some men are made to eunuchs, some men choose to be eunuchs for the kingdom of God, and some men are born as such eunuchs. And I explained this to him, and I was saying like, well, if you take this 100% literally, then it's probably referring to intersex people, because intersex people, as far as I'm aware, in most cases, I think, cannot have children. So you could see why that would be called a eunuch in some way. I don't know. Or if you take this like non-literally, which I personally think it also is, because like it says eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven. Eunuchs is being used in a non-literal sense there. I think then it could mean ace people or aroace people, or both, because the Bible kind of views sex and marriage as the same thing. But like, I don't know. And then we were talking about that, and I was just saying that to him, and like just talking with him about it. And then we started talking about intersex people. In case you don't know what intersex people are basically people who are born with I think like physical Eigenschaften. That's a German word. That is not, like physical like thingies from both genders. So like, for example, a dick and titties. That happens sometimes. I don't remember which percent of the population is born with these, but there is an amount of people that are born like that, because nature be whack at times. And like, I was explaining that to my grandpa, and you know how most of the time when like old people talk about stuff like this, or especially about trans people, how they kind of like sometimes they're just downright transphobic or shit, but like other times it's also like with a bit of a negative taste, a bit like oh yeah, that's a thing that exists and it's weird and unnatural, but I tolerate it, like kind of like that. And then my grandpa started talking with me about intersex people, and he had none of that. He was just like, and then he started explaining to me what that is, and he was like, yeah, sometimes people are born with like this was in German, so physical Eigenschaften. I do not know what that word is in English. Like physical traits of both genders, and nature be whack. And he wasn't saying it in like a negative way. He was just like saying like, yeah, there are people that are born with red hair sometimes, and sometimes people have blonde hair, and that's just a thing that is. And he was like really positive about it. And then we kind of got into the whole like talking about trans people debate. For the record here, just to set this straight, I'm not trans. My grandpa isn't either. So if I get anything wrong here, I'm sorry. Don't take everything I say here as complete gospel. Not trans. If I get anything wrong, anybody, you can completely feel free to correct me in the comments. But then I started talking with my grandpa about like trans people, and we kind of got to the whole issue of trans people in sports. And then I was like starting to say that like I find that a very stupid subject to talk about, because this is like the one and only area where a trans person might potentially have an advantage over a cis person. Like at literally every other point in society, trans people are at a disadvantage pretty much. Probably not like literally everyone, but like at the majority of them. And this is the single one point that trans people have might, not necessarily, could theoretically have an advantage. But like the amount of trans people in professional sport is very tiny, because the amount of humans or like people who are in professional sport is fucking tiny. So like, does this fucking matter? And I started talking with him about that and how this like misrepresents trans issues, and like the media should like do a better job of reporting on this shit, and like, because like this gives a false impression. You know what I mean? If, for example, say somebody like my grandpa, somebody his age who doesn't know that much about this, sees all this, that person could very easily come to the conclusion that somebody would be trans for the sole reason of winning in a competitive sports scene. Which, no, nobody would fucking do that. That's not, no, that doesn't happen. But if you only see, if this Berichterstattung, goddammit, that this type of reporting is the only thing you see about trans people, and you have nothing else, no other context, that is a conclusion that you could go off of, and that's not good. And I started talking with him about this, and then he cut me off. And for context here, in Germany there are öffentliche Rundfunk, which basically means public broadcasters. Like they belong to the state. They're financed by what's the word? They're financed by, my brain is not working right now. They're financed by taxes. Yeah. And there are a few, and they have like different branches and shit. And basically their job is to just be like unbiased, and not like be unbiased through commercials. Their job is not to make money. Their job is to make good content, which is a good idea. Now, these systems do have a couple of flaws, which I'm not going to get into right now, but overall, it's a good idea. Kind of stops. The United States would benefit from something like that, because the news scene over there is fucked. But one of the main ones is ZDF, which I think that stands for Zentrale Deutsche Fernsehen, which means Central German TV. That's just a wild guess though, so don't trust me. That's one of them. And yeah. And my grandpa watches them a lot, and then he told me that he actually knows all of that, what I just said, because when he watched like a segment where people were discussing the whole trans rights and sports thing, they actually said beforehand that this does not reflect the reality of trans people in our society, and that this is the only area where trans people potentially might have an advantage over cis people. So he already knew that, and the German like state-owned broadcaster, at least one of them in this one segment, actually acknowledged that, and like gave basically a disclaimer, which is fucking awesome. And then I was like really positively surprised there, and then me and my grandpa kind of digressed into like a talk about like changing shit for like basically political correctness stuff. So like in the city that he lives in, there was like a hotel called the Drei Mohren Hotel, which basically means three moors. I think that's the English translation, hotel, which is a word for black people because the city was like a very big what the fuck, trade city. And at some point, the dude who was like the trade boss in there had trade relationships with some group of African people who were black, and he invited them over, and they stayed in this specific hotel. And because like in medieval or Renaissance Europe, black people weren't that much of a thing. There was kind of like, oh shit, black people, damn, that's whack. But like they were just like trade partners like any other. And then because that was kind of like special and like not normal, that just because it's black, they named the hotel after it. And I personally have not heard the word "modern" in any other context besides this hotel, and I don't think it's that derogatory of a term because it's like never used. It's a really fucking old term. Not a black person living in Germany though, so don't take my word for that. But like then we were talking about, I think they were either planning to or they already did rename this hotel, and we were talking about like, is this really necessary? Like, is it really that beneficial versus like, is it kind of like taking down a certain part of history of the city? And then we kind of talked about that and how this is kind of like a point that you can discuss over. But he also shared my opinion that if a group of people say that something is insulting to them or like degrading or anything in some way, that you probably should take it down. That's overall the better option. But the discussion with this hotel was more, is it really insulting to anybody? Because nobody ever uses this fucking word, you know? So yeah, then we talked about that. And then we kind of got back to the whole trans thing, and then I found out actually my grandpa has a trans neighbor, which I did not know. They live in like really suburban Germany, which is like every house, like pretty much every house around them has like old fucking people in it. It's like a very like calm and peaceful German village, like really. And then my grandpa was just like, yeah, you see the neighbor back there with the really nice shed. That was his words. He commented on the shed because he thinks it's a sick ass shed, which is very on point for him. And yeah, that guy's trans. And I was like, what? And then he told me that this person was apparently married as a woman, so was assigned female at birth. Started to like notice that he's not a woman. Then did the whole transitioning thing and is still married. And yay. And my grandpa was like really happy about that. Like there was absolutely nothing bad in his voice, like no like ill will or something like that. He was just genuinely really happy for the person that they were able to like that they were like able to transition and shit and still keep their marriage, and that everything worked out pretty well for them. And then he went on, like, I've never seen this neighbor, I've never interacted with them, but according to my grandpa, they pass very well, because my grandpa said that if you would look at him today, like, you wouldn't think that he was assigned female at birth. That's not what my grandpa said, but that's what he meant. My grandpa said he wouldn't think that he used to be a woman, which I don't think that's quite the correct term, but it's okay. My grandpa's 80. He's 87. But like, my grandpa was just really happy for their neighbor, and it was fucking adorable, because I was I know my grandpa, so I wasn't expecting like raging trans or homophobia from him, but it was just like really cute, because he was really fucking happy about it. That a person, a friend or acquaintance of his, was able to transition and like do so successfully, and that it just went well for them, and that they're now able to pass very well, which was really adorable, because my grandpa is 87. Like, not a lot of people that age are like this, and it's just really nice to see. Like, as a reminder, he was born when Hitler was around. He was born before the Second World War, which is like whack. Like, fuck, you're old. Which actually is, but like, you know what I mean? It's just really nice to see. And then we kind of started talking about how like, and then I kind of like talked about how he is actually very accepting of this fact, which, I mean, he was. And And like, it's not even like some old people. When I was at Pride, there was like this old man who like walked up to me and my group of friends, and like there was a shit ton of people with pride flags. It was fucking sick. And like the dude walked up and he was like, "Oh yeah, what's going on here? What do y'all belong to some kind of sports team?" Or really adorable. And then one of my friends like explained it to him, and he was like, and then they were like, "Oh no, it's Pride. It's like LGBTQ, like gay and trans and stuff like that. And it's a Pride march, and yeah, like something along those lines." And then the old man was like, "Oh, that's lovely. Have fun." And it was really adorable, right? Like there's old people like that, and then some old people don't like are kind of like a little bit like he a little confused, but he got the spirit. You know what I mean? Like that. But no, my grandpa wasn't even that. He just, as far as I, the cis, or not, I'm not actually quite cis, but whatever. Like, I'm not trans either. But like, as far as I, the almost cis guy, could notice, like, I do know a tiny bit about like trans stuff, like not a lot, because I'm not trans myself, but you know, a little bit. But as far as I could tell, everything he said was just correct. Like, yes, trans people, he just knew it, and then we kind of started talking about how this isn't really the norm. And then we also kind of got to the point where it's like, we're like about misgendering, you know? And then I kind of like said that there are people, especially in the US, but like that's not the point, but there are people that would like, for example, insist on dead naming and misgendering, as an example, his neighbor. And then he got like genuinely upset. Like the thought of that genuinely bothered him, like misgendering his neighbor, which was really adorable to see, because like he wasn't like, "Oh yeah, that's not good." He was like genuinely annoyed and upset at the suggestion of somebody misgendering his neighbor, which was really adorable. And just because like, yeah, that's good reaction. And and for the record, he did not misgender the neighbor at all at any point, and there was like nothing negative about it, which was way to fucking go, my grandpa. So yeah, I'm really proud of him for that. And this video is almost 17, yeah, it's over 17 minutes long. God damn, I did not expect it to turn out that long. Also, random fun fact about my grandpa. My grandpa used to work as an engineer. Like he designed machines and shit. I'm not quite sure what the English term is. And in Germany, there's like Deutsche Museums, which are like really big and famous museums. And my grandparents live in Bavaria. And then on a birthday, I don't know which birthday it was, he took us to the Deutsche Museum in Munich. And then we were like walking around there, and there was like planes and vehicles and mechanical shit, which my brother, I, and my grandpa all were fairly interested in. I mean, he was an engineer, of course he's gonna like that. And then we're just walking around, and then there was like a mining exhibit, right? Like, and then we walked down there, and there was just showing like, yeah, this is how mining was. This is the machines they use. And then we walked into like a room, and there was like basically what you can imagine is a train hanging off a roof. And my grandpa got fucking excited about that, because he designed that fucking train, which is fucking awesome. So something he made, one of the very first things he made in his career, was hanging in the fucking Deutsche Museum, which is fucking sick. Yeah, so that's really awesome. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, just side note, my name is Giovanni Giorgio video, my meme video, it's a meme video I made, I have a few shitty meme videos, is kind of fucking exploding. Like, the video has gotten a lot of views in the last couple of days. Like, it got yeah, it's fucking exploding, and that's cool. And yesterday was my birthday, and yesterday was the day that I hit 12.5k views on my channel overall, which is more views, which is more people, or more views than there are people living in the town I live in. So that's fucking cool. The town that I go to school in has like 20,000 people living in it, so that's gonna be another while. But you know, maybe I'll get another video that blows up or two. So yeah, like and subscribe for that. If you haven't watched The meme videos, go watch them. There's a playlist down at the bottom of my channel. If you haven't, if you want more shit of me just rambling into a mic about mostly queer topics, I have a playlist on that one too. You can go watch that, and yeah. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for sticking around for over 20 fucking minutes. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for sticking around again. Hope you have a nice day, and see ya.